Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and it is Top 5 Thursday. So today we are going to be taking a look at the top 5 mutants that I think should be added to the game in 2021. Now this is my opinion and my opinion only, but I would love to hear who you guys think should be added to the game in the mutant class for 2021. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the character, who they are in the comics, and what powers and abilities they would have in the game. So little disclaimer here. Quicksilver and Mystique are not on here because number one, I'm not sure how Kabam could make a speedster's abilities work in game. I'm sure they would be similar to like Nightcrawler, but I'm not 100% sure how that would work in the game. And number two is Mystique doesn't really copy powers or abilities. She copies physical form. So while she could be a fun addition, just like, you know, a fan favorite, I'm not exactly sure she would be the best mutant to be added to the game. So with that little disclaimer being said, let's go ahead and get the countdown started with the number 1 pick, and that pick goes to Dazzler. So Dazzler is one of my favorite mutants, as many of you know, but here's a little history about Dazzler. So Allison was born to Judge Carter Blair and Catherine Blair in the Long Island suburb of Gardendale, New York. Now, while Allison was performing at a high school dance show, her mutant powers actually manifested and she was forced to blind all in attendance to save her from persecution. Now, she created her own unique performing suit with mirrored clothes, makeup, and actually a pair of roller skates. She also then gave herself the nickname Dazzler. Now, Dazzler is a mutant with the ability to transduce sound into light. So her specials could be something, I don't know, one could be called like a Dazzle Blast, which would inflict concussion and stun on the opponent. Now, she would also gain prowess like most mutants do, and she could have a therapeutic light, which actually heals members of her team when she is not fighting. So I think that would be kind of a nice little thing to add in there too. Now, Dazzler could also armor break opponents on heavy attacks because her blasts, her sonic blasts is kind of what they're called, they're able to penetrate even the toughest of armor. So I really think giving her an armor break mechanic would be beneficial and keep her tied into how she is in the comics. Plus, she could take reduced damage from basically any sonic forces like Black Bolt, and all of her attacks would obviously be energy based. Number 2 on the countdown goes to Kitty Pryde. Now, Kitty was born in Deerfield, Illinois, and when she was 13 years old, she began getting these terrible headaches, which were actually the result of her mutant powers starting to manifest. Now, both Emma Frost from the Hellfire Club and Professor X both wanted to recruit her for their causes, and Kitty actually didn't like Emma or her attitude, which sad, although I can understand about the attitude. It made Kitty feel kind of uncomfortable, and it was an easy decision for Kitty to go along with Professor X and join the X-Men. So, and actually Storm was one of the first X-Men who Kitty befriended within the X-Men. There we go. Now, one time during a mission in space, Kitty befriended an alien dragon named Lockheed, and they immediately developed like this psychic bond. They are inseparable, and Lockheed is extremely loyal to Kitty Pryde. Now, Kitty has the ability to pass through solid material, and she does this by allowing the molecules of her body to travel through the space between the molecules of whatever solid material she is traveling through. So basically, she would be like Ghost version 2.0, but instead of gaining furies and cruelty, she would gain prowess. Now, because she can disrupt technology as well, she'd be able to shut down robots and anyone in some sort of a techno suit. I'm looking at you, Iron Man Infinity War. Now, obviously, you can't have Kitty Pryde without having Lockheed, so Lockheed would most certainly make an appearance, during the Special 3, causing incineration on the opponent. Number 3 on the countdown goes to Legion. Now, Legion is actually the son of Charles Xavier, obviously Professor X, and Gabrielle Haller. Now, David Haller is a crazy Omega level mutant. During his late teenage years, David actually was in a catatonic state prior to that, but during his teenage years, he left his catatonic state and became autistic. Now, Gabrielle Haller, his mother, entrusted David's care to Moira at Muir Island. However, when David's powers began manifesting on the physical plane, he uncontrollably absorbed the consciousness of Tom Corsi and Sharon, who were two of Moira's associates. And so then Moira actually enlists the help of Professor X, who brings with him some of the new mutants. David actually absorbs the consciousness of Moira, Wolfsbane, and Cypher at this point. Now, before entering David's mind, Professor X learns that David is actually his son and that the multiple personas in his mind call themselves Legion. So that's where the name Legion comes from. And Legion is actually... he's a crazy, powerful Omega level mutant, and he actually suffers from dissociative identity disorder. So each persona then manifests and controls a different superhuman ability. Now, originally only psychic in nature, David's powers now include physical mutants. So it's kind of crazy, the range of Legion's powers. He could have some crazy abilities in the game. For one, he would have a mind control similar to Professor X. And second, he could produce sonic blast, not psionic, sonic blast. He could have a healing factor. He could gain prowess. He could have basically different pre-fight abilities that would allow you to pick which dissociative disorder, or persona, I should say, to enter the fight. And each persona would allow you to do different things. I mean, honestly, the possibilities that Kabam would have with Legion are endless. Like, they could do so many cool things with Legion. Number 4 on the countdown goes to Onslaught. Now, Onslaught is basically a psionic entity that was created from the consciousness of Professor X and Magneto. Now, he's basically made then of psionic energy and has basically the combination of Magneto's and Professor X's psyches. Yeah. So Onslaught intended originally to destroy only humans, and then he went full rogue and decided to destroy all mutants and humans alike by absorbing the powers of Franklin Richards and Nate Gray to increase his own psionic powers. Now, Onslaught ends up battling the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, the X-Men, and even Doctor Doom. Now, all are presumed dead, but in reality, Franklin Richards actually created a pocket dimension where he sent all of them. Now, because Onslaught is really a hybrid of Professor X and Magneto, he could basically have all of their powers. So Metal Champs would be less powerful against him, he would gain prowess, have mind control. I mean, he would be a pretty tough cookie, and I would love for Kabam to bring Onslaught into the game. Number 5 on the countdown goes to the Shadow King. Now look, I already talked about Legion, and you can't really have Legion without having the Shadow King. So when the telepathic mutant Mullah Farouk's physical body died after facing off against Professor X, he became the psychic entity known as the Shadow King. However, in his most recent appearances, it's actually suggested that the Shadow King is just an essence of pure psionic energy existing within the astral plane and possessing the bodies of those living in the living world. Now, he can actually control the astral plane, which is just crazy. Now, the Shadow King would be a crazy fun champ to add into the game. I mean, he's technically more powerful than Professor X, and he should have some sort of immortality added to him in the game, maybe something along the lines of Claire. It would be kind of cool to see how they could do it. I mean, we already have one telepath. If they added Legion, then they would obviously have to add Shadow King. Like, come on, Kabam, let's make this happen. And what's a countdown without an honorable mention? And this week's honorable mention goes to the new mutant, Wolfsbane. Now, Ron St. Clair was born in Scotland, and she was actually the daughter of a romance between an illicit affair between a reverend and a prostitute. Now, her mutant powers, which are lycanthropy, but they're not lycanthropy in the sense of werewolves. There's nothing supernatural about them. It is just a mutation. They emerged when she was 14, in which her father intended to burn her at the stake for being possessed by the devil. Yeah, I know. Like, get with it, bro. Now, Ron then met Professor X, who had a school in New York for New Mutants, or Young Mutants, excuse me. She became a member of the New Mutants. And now Wolfsbane actually has 3 physical appearances, which could serve as her 3 pre-fight abilities, where her absolute form is like the damage dealer, but it could only be used once per fight, and it could only be used like on the boss fight. But I think that would be kind of a cool mechanic for her to have in the game. Now, obviously, she would have bleeds, and if she's going against someone who's bleed immune, she could have a rupture debuff. She would have a healing factor, not quite as OP as Wolverine's, but still a decent healing factor. She could be immune to fatigue, and she could even have an evade mechanic as part of, like, you know, her wolfy senses. So, but anyways, guys, that is it for this week's top 5 mutant champs that I would like to see added to the game in 2021. Let me know in the comments below, do you agree with my choices, or is there someone else you would like to see? I love hearing who you guys would like to see added to the game and what powers and abilities they might have. So make sure you let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching and enjoy this quick word from Kevin Smith.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, and if you enjoyed the mediocre Mcoc video full of scrub gameplay, then show Katy some love by hitting like and subscribe, man. Katy don't ask for much. Katy did ask for this. Katy did. So do like Katy did and bug people and get you to like and subscribe, man. She's doing that Mcoc beautifully, not mediocre. Katy!